Hello, hello, my dear astrology lovers, friends from all across the world. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer, here sitting with my good friend and a gifted astrologer, Donny Lim, and we have another month for you guys. It's a bit of a intense beginning to the month, or even to the moment when we're recording this, but we're going to give our best to guide you guys through it and give you things to do and share experiences. Da 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 da. Donnie, how are you doing on this fine, I guess, evening
Well,
for
I
you?
mean, once Pisces season started, I've been doing a lot of like inner spiritual work. And so I've just finished like a very intense like resitting of a workshop. And I'm still clearing a lot, going through that massive purification process, which I think is much needed in order to kind of refine my frequencies. And what have you been doing
Oh
for
my God.
February as a whole up to this point?
For me, it's been a lot of. I think I've been using my own personal aspects of the squares, and I'm putting in a lot of action, which has been a bit uncomfortable at times, and overwhelming even at
Mhm.
times. And I do feel for you guys if you have a lot of fixed energy in your chart. So for those of you who don't know, Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio,
Yeah.
your guys are getting hammered by Saturn and Uranus at the same time. So it's good to use those oppositions or squares usually to put out into the world in some shape or form. And I've been doing that also definitely with some of these influences, Pisces energy. I
Mm.
think, for me, it's also been, again, a personal aspect. I have Pluto conjunct my IC. For some of you who know and have had that aspect, it lasts for a really long time and it requires a lot of emotional mastery. It requires a lot of going deep. Like Donny said, this Pisces energy has helped me to clear some of my emotional wounds and go dig deep and discover a lot of, actually, this is one of the positive manifestations you can use in your own life when you have this conjunction. You can use this to really dig up those gold nuggets from your past, maybe some of the things you've suppressed into your subconsciousness, and it does bring those out. It's a tiny bit uncomfortable, maybe a little bit more than a tiny bit, but there's a lot to discover, and good things will come afterwards when you start to do it. So don't be afraid of it. Just um, try to surrender to it as much as you can, I would
Well,
say.
because when I think about it, all the fixed signs, if it's not handled properly, your fixed sign energies, it can lead to stagnancy. So we need to shift things along, and it may not be a bad thing because I've I've actually got quite a number of friends that got stelliums and fixed signs, and I've seen
Things are
how they've
getting
been handling
hammered.
not very well at all. But it makes sure it just like whoop them back in the ass and to just keep things moving because otherwise things will never really change. And I think that it started off with this Jupiter and Saturn conjunction at zero Aquarius, and then Saturn is still in Aquarius. So it's like forming all the hard aspects towards all the fixed signs. Not to mention that there's actually one more thing that's impacting the fixed signs, which is the transit Saturn Pluto direct midpoint. So, what do I mean by that? Is that I observe the transit position of Saturn, I look at the transit position of Pluto, and then the shortest distance between these two planets will be their direct midpoint. And it is currently hovering still in Aquarius, and it won't be fully getting out of Aquarius until 2024.
So,
So
guys, if
all
you
the
have
fixed
anything in Aquarius,
well,
make this
actually,
face.
anything in the fixed signs because the this direct midpoint will either conjunct, oppose, or squaring all the fixed signs as well. So you'll be definitely feeling that if you've got planets in the fixed signs, and that will only be finally getting out of the fixed signs in 2024. So there's also not like another influence on top of that. What you mentioned earlier about that transit, Saturn Uranus square.
Guys, I just want to say one thing for you personally as well. For those of you who know, looking at charts. So if you want to look at, specific manifestations that will bring, let's say, for example, you have a Uranus square Mercury, for example, and Mercury rules, your sixth house, or even if you just have Mercury square Uranus, or Uranus square Mercury,
Right.
Mercury is still your digestive system. Like this is the gut. It can literally cause some sort of sudden problems with the gut. So this is one of the things that it can happen. But also look at the house that Mercury rules. It will show you some of the places, some of these events that can be a little bit uncomfortable
Oh
can
yeah.
come
I
into your
mean,
face.
if you want to map like by house, the first house will rule the head, and then 12th house, which naturally is the natural domain of Pisces, is ruling the feet. So anything in between is like depending which house is located in, it will have its own manifestation.
Yeah.
You want to talk about anything that's mundane astrology, what's happening in the world? I mean, if we've been reading the news, we know what is going on lately in the news.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like I want to talk about it and I don't want to talk about it. But I think you have a couple of charts to show.
I do actually. So the first one will be this particular chart, and I need to mention the where does this chart come from, because as we know, as we read from the news, Russia has already, made its move on Ukraine, and this chart is basically the time of the chart in particular is coming from the AFP, or Agence France Presse, and hence I'm using that time. So it's 5:54 in the morning local time, and the chart actually set it for Moscow. So what's really, really interesting is that if we reflect on the month of February, we do have that full moon in Leo. 2 hours right before the full moon is formed, Mars and Venus, 2 hours before that full moon lunation actually came together. They kissed at 16 degrees of Capricorn. So I find it very interesting that it's very much on top of the ascendant of this chart. And Mars and Venus basically came together at 16 degrees of Capricorn on 16th of February of this year itself. And I also want to mention that there's a fixed star that's around this degree as well. And the fixed star I'm talking about is Vega. And so it's aligned with this ascendant sign and degree. And I would just like to mention that most of us would think that Vega as a fixed star is benefit in nature. But however, if I were to look into Arabic astrology, this fixed star called Vega is talking about a falling eagle that's about to dive in and catch its prey. So how symbolic is that? When we talk about that fixed star Vega in that way. And if we were to look at the fourth house cusp of this chart, which is supposedly when the decision to invade Ukraine was made, you've got the North Node that's conjunct the fourth house cusp of the chart. And as we know, the late degrees of Taurus, we have this fixed star called Algol. So that talks about the Medusa head. And Yeah. And this was the degree when the November 19 partial lunar eclipse happened right on this point as well. And so the idea to invade Ukraine may be seeded back in November of last year, actually. That's indirectly what can be taking place, as above, so below. And I just want to also mention that I actually also observed at the heliocentric position of Mars. And heliocentrically, Mars is actually approaching the galactic center at 27 degrees of Sagittarius in the next couple of days as well. And all these factors just coming in together, it doesn't look that good. Of course, I hate to see places going into war. But then, like, when I actually look at this chart actually fits symbolically into what is actually going on, so to speak, in that sense. And not to mention that if we look at this chart, Mars and Venus are approaching to conjunct Pluto. And that will happen on 2nd of March, which is over the Pisces new moon. We'll be moving on later to talk about that. And on 6th of March, Venus actually catches up with Mars and exactly conjunct again. So I'm actually looking, pertaining to this chart, the position of Mars and Venus in particular, because it seems to be a lot of emphasis on this. And when Venus actually catches up with Mars, the tables may turn, actually. Because Venus is the mitigating or smoothing out factor, but having said that, Mars is the morning star now. And every time when I see Venus is operating in the morning star phase, that tends to be a lot to do with the governments, the states, war, in terms of like strategy and all those kind of things. So even when Venus actually catches up with Mars, I'm not too sure whether that will mark some kind of de-escalation of sorts. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that this chart is, I would say I trust it with high confidence level that this can be the inception chart of the decision to invade Ukraine. In other words.
Yeah, just when I look at it, what I do a lot is when something is about to happen or already happening, I usually feel it in my body as well. Even when I look at a chart, sometimes I just feel something. I have this when I'm listening to it, I'm looking at it, I just have this like almost gut wrenching, very just annoying and painful feeling in my body, in my heart, in my gut, everywhere basically. So I'm not super fond of this. I'm not liking this. When I'm looking at the chart, a couple of things I see, because the ruler of the first in my mind is, from the whole sign perspective, is in the second house as well. North Node near the IC in Taurus. These two things for me in my mind say it's there's some things there to do with the resources, attaining of the resources, attaining material resources from the invasion as well. So that's one of the things I wanted to say about this. And the algal, every time I even mention algal, I'm like, oh my god, because it's I've been observing guys like even mundane, every month moon is on algal. So even then in Taurus algal, it's a little bit of like the emotional lives of humans get more aggressive immediately. And when we have the North Node there, when we have the IC there, it's just like the heaviness I feel when even speaking about this, and I don't even want to say the words, like violence and bloody and these things, but they are a little bit there, guys.
I just want to mention that perhaps for the next couple, maybe up to 2 weeks from now, because when I see this chart, there's a few like massive turning points. First of all, heliocentric Mars will be tightly conjunct the galactic center at 27 Sagittarius from 26th of February to 2nd of March. And on 2nd of March, we've got tropically Mars, Venus, and Pluto cluster up together as a triple conjunction. 6th of March, Venus actually catches up with Mars. So another turning point of this incident, basing on this chart, I would say is on 6th of March of that's coming up, to see if the tables turn, because Venus catches up with Mars in the case.
I think I can't remember if you already mentioned. I think you mentioned the cluster of the meeting Venus, Mars, and Pluto. I think it's on the second.
Yes.
Depends on where you are a little bit, but
yeah,
it's like one of the places I do see a bit of a, let's say, escalation, or things really churning up, burning up. Just kind of like in general, like sending my prayers to anybody who's able to listen to this in Ukraine and, get to safety, man. I mean, as fast as you can before the second hits.
I mean, since we are astrologers and we look at cycles, right?
Yep.
8 years ago, by the way, when Venus was retrograde in Capricorn, there's also a Russo-Ukrainian war going on in February 2014. It started then. And I find that it's uncanny that it actually ties in with the Venus retrograde cycle in the sign of Capricorn. And by the way, 8 years ago in early 2014 is also when energy prices are at sky-high levels as now, by the way. Gas prices, that's this high.
Do you have the chart, by the way, up as well, of that 2014?
2014, I don't have, because the thing is, like, I don't have a reliable time to work off from. And this one, I have to really dig deep. I probably just only dug this up like 10 to 15 minutes before our discussion. But also, the man of the hour, the man of the hour, which is him, I shouldn't even mention his name. But then, because I also use the technique of Venus star point by transit to actually mark out like, there's something to do with Venus retrograde in Capricorn. So it only makes sense to look at the Venus star point that's active right now. Right now, we are still living out that transit Venus star point, or VSP, at 18 degrees 43 minutes of Capricorn. And that's the energetic point when Venus retrograde quasi-meet with the sun. So that point is where Venus retrograde kissed the sun. And so we'll be living out this energy for the next, it goes in different cycles, but the shortest one will be until the last day of Libra season, until October of this year. So if you actually look at where 18 degrees 43 minutes of Capricorn is, with this supposedly Putin's natal chart, 18 degrees 43 minutes will be in his third house to make a decision. And in the sign of Capricorn means that it's a politically driven decision. And 8 years ago, the Venus star point was also very close to this 18 to 19 degree range of Capricorn. And the next thing to note is, are there any hard aspects to other parts of Putin's chart? And we do have Saturn in Libra, and also Neptune in Libra, and also Mercury in Libra, piling up in his 12th house. That's triggered via a square from 18 degrees 43 minutes of Capricorn. So this decision to invade Ukraine has always been at the back of his mind, at least in secret, 12th house.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in the other cardinal signs? Is basically squaring his 6th and 12th house axis. If we talk about 18 degrees 43 minutes of Capricorn, squaring this axis 6 and 12. Is there anything in Cancer? Yes, it's opposing his Uranus. Uranus in Cancer in the 9th house. To take some land that's foreign or abroad from you in an attempt to unify. Or some foreign piece of land that's like fragmented or segregated from Russia and trying to take that back. So you can see how this 18 degrees 43 minutes of Capricorn actually forms like a T-square. So massive activation. So he's the man of the hour just by looking from this. But of course, there's other techniques that I use. And not to mention that, okay, this is a trine. So from 18, close to 19 degrees of Capricorn is actually trining his Jupiter, is to conquer a place. 7th house is open enemies, but 7th house is also to start a war.
But it will be squared. His Jupiter will be squared quite soon by Saturn, transiting Saturn.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which would, I would say,
Saturn has got a blocking influence, by the way.
Stop him a little bit.
And Uranus will be moving closer to his Jupiter as well. So will this actually be a long sustained event? I'm not too sure. Just by what I mentioned and also Ian's input as well. I just also want to mention another person that's very much triggered by that transit Venus star point this year. And it is this person. I shouldn't even mention by name. Because
I think that's best.
Because the thing is that if you look at, he's got a cardinal T-square as well. Around 16 degrees to 22 degrees of the cardinal signs. And so the transit Venus star point, which is at 18 degrees 43 minutes of Capricorn, is actually activating this person's T-square. So he's another man of the hour as well, because he's very much linked to this person. What I'm trying to say is that if you think that we are already not entering into a Cold War, then you'll be naive. Okay?
Yeah, I don't want to mention anything. I don't want to mention names.
No, I'm just leaving it as that.
Yep, I think that's good.
Yeah, really because good. It's like, since we're talking about astrology, as above, so below, right? I mean, that's when we started studying astrology, and that's the first few things that that's being told to us. So we gotta find correlation between the sky gods and also what's happening, with us over here. So this is what I've got pertaining to the events that's unfolding and still unfolding, by the way. But I'm looking at 6th of March when Venus actually catches up with Mars. I hope there's a turn of events coming up. Yeah, that's all that I would want to say. So do you want to look at the lunations of the month?
Let's dig in, guys. because not all just it because we started this with a little bit of a heaviness. You know, the events of the world are a little bit heavy right now, or a lot heavy, even we can say. And let's just do our best to not only, focus on very negative, very heavy energies, and just do our best to find out if we can,
By the way, before we
maybe.
jump into the new moon, do you have any like March 2022 overview as a whole for people?
I think, my general overlook is still kind of the same.
Okay.
We're still in the bottom of the cycle. We're still in the, most conflict, most aggression, most people protesting, restructuring, kind of place prices going haywire situation, and we're going to be there, at least in my opinion, until 2022 end. But I'm thinking 2023 March is
I'm
the
thinking
thing.
when Venus goes retrograde in Leo, that's when we actually find some kind of relief.
When was the date? I can't remember the date.
Well, around summer, your time next year. And
I
Venus
think
will actually go retrograde from 11 till 23 of Leo. Yeah.
I think we'll start to see a little bit sooner. We'll start to see at least some, shifts and changes. But, until those, let's say March, on spring, summer, 2023, guys. These
Well,
things are,
that's when Mars finally get out of Gemini.
and Saturn out of Aquarius, and finally Saturn Uranus square will fade and turn into a
Okay,
sextile. And just want to say, guys, I don't want to bring in too much negativity here, but if you're looking at what's happening, overall with Saturn, where Saturn is going to go end of year, and I'm showing here Uranus also. Saturn and Uranus are going to meet in not so nice terms as well, by Egyptian terms. So this already, the taste of the square that is happening end of year will have more of a negative, more of a conflict undertone, in my opinion. Not to forget Jupiter in Aries transit during the summer, this summer as well. So,
Well, and also
not looking good.
Q3 till Q3 of 2022 to Q1 of 2023, we've got the extended square between Mars in Gemini squaring Neptune 3 times as well. So it can
Mars
be
retrograde.
a confusing time. Yeah. I mean, Mars will basically stay in Gemini for a very long time while he's retrograding, and is squaring Neptune 3 times in the process as well. So that kind of adds up to the kind of confusing, likely even a bit depressing with Neptune there influence, because there's almost like we are inflating our rose-colored lenses and probably denying that reality is as such as well, But however, if I were to give like an overview of March 2022, there's some nice energies, actually. There's some great opportunities to use these times to launch things, move things forward, things that you have put off till now, since the beginning of the year, because when this year began, it almost doesn't feel like a new year to me.
It's almost like the continuation of the same.
Well, I find that 2022 finally began with the Aquarius new moon. Actually, last month, it's almost like, oh, finally 2022 feels like it has started. And I find that March 2022 is really, there's if you harness it properly, you can actually get ready to land or materialize goals that you've been putting off for the last 2 months or so. And not to mention that this month we still got the extended kiss between Mars and Venus in Capricorn, which will follow through all the way till both of them separate towards the end when they hit late Aquarius degrees. Because if you think about it, Venus actually represents what we value and treasure. And Mars represents what we put our action towards and plan towards in order to attain something. So this month in March 2022 in particular, collectively, I think that our values and actions will be very much aligned when these two planets are conjunct for an extended period of time. Not to mention that Mars and Venus are the respective rulers of the North and South node that's in transit right now. So it may bring a lot of fated events even. So we all need to observe like, as long as Mars and Venus are conjunct in the sky, nodal transits will be super, super active. And depending what the nodal axis will be conjuncting for you, be it any planets in your natal chart, you may observe that from now all the way till late March even, that certain things become even more in your face in terms of fated events. This March 2022 can also serve as an efficient time to go out there and get what we want for ourselves. First and foremost, in very cool, grinding, hustling, calculated, methodical steps, in order to formulate perhaps like a defensive and conservative game plan, because when Mars and Venus first kiss each other, it happened in a sign of Capricorn, which kind of painted all those keywords for me. And that is to really ultimately grow and evolve you into your future, which is when they move into Aquarius. That is working for us on better levels, hopefully. And this is happening while we are in the midst of an idealistic, dreamy, manifesting, euphoric, and envisioning Pisces season. Since Pisces is about all what should be our end game. Pisces is not just about accepting a concrete reality as is. So there's this background of like manifesting energy, which is Pisces as well. And as I mentioned earlier, Venus is also in a morning star phase. So she knows how to initiate things on top of connections with more of the physical world and sensations, with an increased likelihood to feel internally complete as well. And so if I were to combine Venus as a morning star and traveling with Mars for much of March 2022, there's a natural tendency for us to, or enhanced ability for us to know how to operate in the physical world, to get things achieved out there for ourselves and accomplish things. And it's easier for us to accept the mechanical nature of things as well and become aware of the needs of the material world. And we may also, this month, think about developing the necessary skills and resources that are marketable and sustaining in order to let us be the boss of our own lives or become the CEO of our own lives. And not to mention that we may be more reactive than usual. Do you have anything to add, Ian?
Are we doing like a general overview of March right now?
Oh yeah, I think I'm done with my part, because I just want to kind of, it's not all doom and gloom, because I do see March 2022 as a whole as a time to really formulate our game plan for the rest of the year. Yeah.
I do see, when I was looking at March in general, I do see there's this, obviously this event, brings that doom and gloom for us generally, guys. But there are Sun Jupiter conjunction. Even when we're looking at that gives us a little bit of a boost right now. Even
Right.
beginning of the month, it gives us a little bit of a tone for the month ahead as well. It gives us, I would say almost like a unifying, coming together kind of boost in this mess as well. So I do see people coming together and believing in almost like the global. I don't want to say globalization, global, but it's almost like I see a the other countries or more countries coming together as a unified force and kind of like believing and kind of like supporting one another as well, because Jupiter and Sun for me it's a lot to do with very very big belief, a big confidence in oneself. But now when it's happening global, there is I would say a unifying force, and this negative event that is happening can actually turn out later on to be a more of like a unifying force for us, even globally. And on a personal level, I would say it's a good new moon, or after the new moon even, to start the month off in a very confident way. So what I mean by that is, if you have anything to do out in the world, yes, Mars and even Venus in Capricorn, they will still push us towards those material achievements. And now Jupiter and Sun together will also give us the emotional, the belief, the internal belief boost as well. Yes, we as we go into the lunation, there is one thing that is taking that down a little bit and bringing us into that practical material reality as well. Mercury and Saturn, what I mean. And I think in that sense, I like the balance, because when we have too much of this Jupiter, Sun, Pisces, kind of like raw, I can do everything right now, I can be Beyonce or whatever it is, it's usually not the best. But when we have these grounding influences as well, like, okay, I need to work on this, I need to put in work, I need to make things happen, and think things through critically. This is the balance I really like to kind of push us into the month and get those things done, at the same time having the belief still within us. Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's what I
mean,
want
when
to
I
say.
look at Sun, Moon, and Jupiter, there's really a lot of wholehearted enthusiasm, or that we thrive on hope and optimism as well.
Yeah.
Especially when they're in Pisces, it's a bit more like dreamy and rose-colored glasses. But then I think that there's a tendency for people also to get involved with too many things at one go and overextend yourself. And it can really drain the vitality and upset your inner harmony and balance as a result as well. But if you've been spending the past few months feeling stuck and not wanting to launch something like projects and plans for the future, etc., etc., March, I think it will be like a nice turning point of things to actually do that.
Nice.
Because really, the confidence level in order to get things accomplished is there with that Sun, Moon, and Jupiter together. Although it's in Pisces.
Yeah, so guys, if it's a Pisces, just be prepared for your kind of like even ideas to change, and you need to change course here and there. Maybe, I thought I was going to do this, and then I changed my mind. Da da da. I need to do this now. I'm going to do this. So there's this Piscean mutability there, I would say, that is not always super direct, but like that, like Donny said, the rose-colored glasses, the almost like blind optimism. It sometimes like even gets us through the things. Just the point I'm also making is, when it gets too big or too much, I'm going to be Beyonce, Lady Gaga. That's dial that one down a little bit and focus on the practical reality, practical earthliness that you need to do to become a Beyonce or
But
Lady
you know
Gaga?
what? I do see a more like spiritual and metaphysical part that's tied to this new moon, by the way, because Sun, Moon, and Jupiter are all sextiling Uranus and Taurus. It also brings around a very Uranian energy, and Uranus, as we know, is really talking about frequency and downloads, upgrades as well. So this month, actually, what I've picked up is that it may represent an accelerated period of frequency evolution and upgrades. Downloads may be more forthcoming for people who are more open in that way. I would say March is a precursor to April next month. Because when I look at slightly forward into April 2022, there will be a very huge spiritual and physical tsunami or flood that awaits us then with the imminent Jupiter-Neptune conjunction in late Pisces in April. So now it's just like the teaser or the prelude of sorts. And when I think about this new moon, there can also be like a dropping of the level of mandates that's imposed of us because of that sextile to Uranus as well. Like you're more free in a way.
Yeah, luckily Saturn and Uranus are separating as well right now, or separated. Let's put it that way. Enough, I think, for us to be more liberated, for us to have more freedom in society. But like what Donny said, I think I really want to mention this part as well, because Pisces new moon, even if there's less influences, but we have Neptune, we have Jupiter, we have everything, the cluster is here in Pisces. Like this is the guys, this is the time. If you're a little bit even open to, messages coming, spiritual energies coming, healing energies coming, like dreams. Like this is whenever I see a new moon in Pisces or even a full moon, both are in my mind pretty darn good for these things. Like dreams, super vivid dreams. I remember one. I think it was a full moon period when I was. It's entire week I had the most vivid visions, like dreams during this Pisces moon. So be prepared for these, and if you're already kind of give the intention to the world, to the life, to the universe. This is the thing that really opens up the connection. You can catch these energies easier, and the spirits, the guides, they come to you easier, and the messages come through to you easier. Write them down, take action. Obviously analyze them, but still take action with them later. It's quite a good. It can even heal you, like even the dreams that we're having right now during this new moon period can directly heal us as well.
I mean, Pisces is all about envisioning, right? It has not come into full manifestation yet. We are just kind of putting the pieces together in a lot of ways. That's why Pisces rules dreams, right? But Pisces can also rule like you're envisioning something that is possible for yourself. It's not come to your right in front of your face yet. There's Aries. So it's like, but you're almost like templating that future as well. And not to mention that this month can be like, there can be a lot of frequency upgrades, so much so that you may feel kind of be off kilter and be more tired as usual. So if you need to take some time out, please do. Maybe that will really help you to assimilate, which is also Pisces. Those energies that's coming in, because when we enter April, it's no joke. One more thing I want to mention, because Uranus is also shocks as well. And since that Uranus is sextiling Sun, Moon, and Jupiter, this can be shocks to our sense of governmental trust and faith as well. Because if I were to pull in that Mars, Venus, and Pluto is actually in semi-square or 45-degree aspect to the Sun, Moon, and Jupiter. That is in turn sextiling Uranus. So some kind of shocking event that Uranus can really shake our sense of trust and faith in current governmental abilities and powers to actually look after us as well in this process.
A little bit about time, maybe.
But you know what? This whole year, if I were to just sum it up, this new moon actually says a lot because more revelations and revolutions will unfold as the months go on in 2022. And nothing says revelations like Pisces and revolutions like Uranus. And they are in sextile. Planets in Pisces sextiling that Uranus. So this one can be revealing a lot of revelations and even revolutions of sorts as well. Yeah.
I really like that because I really want to tie in this thing here and this thing to hear what you're saying as well, because first and foremost you said revelations and things coming up. I really think for us and for everyone basically that the Pluto Mars Venus conjunction, yes, it will bring, the negative side of that whole cluster is, definitely when we're talking about personal things, relationship on a personal level, I do see aggressiveness in relationships, more fights, more arguments in relationships, even things coming to light within relationship areas, like maybe you discover something about a partner, maybe you discover something about, even on a general level, maybe we discover and things are brought to light to us about men in general, some powerful man in general, or a powerful woman in the world in general, things that were hidden under the surface. So I do see these things, these revelations brought to us as well. On another note, when we're building up to this new moon, I forgot to mention this before. When we're building up to this new moon, also Mercury is building up to Saturn, conjunction aspect. Whenever these two meet in conjunction or hard aspect, I would say as well, it is a time of fear generally, because Mercury is our minds and the things we think about. So Saturn is blockages, fear. It does bring this, yes, critical thinking at best, but most often what I've seen, especially during the markets, financial markets, is like because people are experiencing so much fear right now because of the war, literally because of the war. The markets usually take a tumble as well. In this case, and
I think we are already
seeing it
in correction territory, right?
We're already seeing it, so
Right.
it's not like the. But I think what I see here is before it gets better with this one, with Jupiter and Sun after the new moon. So after the second, it might take a little bit of a tumble, and quite an extreme one, because Pluto, Mars, Venus can also mean things going a little bit crazy with the financial markets, with banks. So I know already there kind of money runs on Russian banks, and who knows, hopefully here everywhere else it's a little bit easier. Maybe not, maybe yes. but like the thing I'm saying here, guys, is things will be volatile. Things will definitely be volatile. Volatility always brings opportunity for those of you who can see it. But the general thing I see here, building up to the new moon, things will get quite pessimistic because of this. When the new moon hits, Mercury will start to separate, and Sun Jupiter conjunction will start to get exact, which brings the optimism. So I think it can, for these brief moments there, it can, after the new moon, can bring spikes up as well, because there's opportunity there.
You know what? When I think about Mercury and Saturn conjunction in the sign of Aquarius, pretty much it talks about the attempts of suppression of free speech and press as well, particularly in the sign of Aquarius. So I would expect more people who are awakening like, hey, the government's not your mate. And so people might actually jump ship to alternative Aquarius platforms as well. But
Like crypto platforms.
Like, for example, there's alternative platforms to Twitter if you feel that Twitter has been too oppressive, for example. And but when I think about that conjunction, if you use your logic and reasoning mind to look at the facts in a very detached way, Aquarius, you may be able to deduce conclusions for yourself accordingly. And it's very much out in the open if you look at the facts, which is like Saturn.
Yeah, but I think this is like the good part of this. You can really look at the facts, guys, with this conjunction and really dig deep. But it takes work and it takes time, Saturn, and it's, you know, it doesn't come on its own. So dig deep, put the facts straight up. And one thing I forgot to mention again, there's so much I want to say, because so much happening here, guys.
Yeah.
And the conjunction is still, the triple conjunction we're talking about also at the same time, is I maybe scared you a little bit, you know, all the fights and aggressiveness with the relationship, and this involves, you know, friendships and business partnerships as well. So, but it's I remember we talked about it with Donny in the previous month as well. This is a time where, and now when we get closer to Pluto, closer, this is the time the truth will be revealed about partnerships, romantic business relationships, and you might even find out something about the business partner, for example, that you know, maybe not be the best one. And that's the time also to make the clean cuts here, because we have the Mars, we have the strong strength of Mars still. We can, you know, with the help of Venus, we can see the both sides of the story as well. So it doesn't have to be, you know, a very emotional breakup. You know, if it's the right thing to do, you can dig deep and, you know, really see the truth of what is. So then you can cut it off. But let's say if you're in a long-term committed relationship, you know, this is a time, definitely some difficulties can come up here. But the gist is here for these deeper themes, if they come to light, to transform them as well. Because, you know, if you give up every time you're in a deep relationship, that where something difficult comes up, you know, you won't be in any deep or long-term relationship. So take this somewhat of difficult time with the belief of Jupiter and Sun together to transform these intimate relationships you are in as well. And yes, so for some of you, the cutting off needs to happen as well if it's really dark and bad, the situation.
When I think about that Venus, Mars, and Pluto conjunction, I'm thinking along the lines of whether are there any political sex scandals that will come to the surface.
Nice one.
And if you think about the triple conjunction of Mars, Venus, and Pluto, there's a kind of predatory and also sadomasochistic tendencies as well, especially in the sign of Capricorn, which is about control.
Yeah.
And it's not plotted inside here, but there's actually this dwarf planet called Eris, Eris, that is in late degrees of Aries, the sign. So that Mars, Venus, and Pluto is actually squaring it from Capricorn. And I would say that on a mundane level, that triple conjunction squaring Eris, Eris, in late Aries, the sign, it can also point to a continual persistence to protest, to the abuses of governmental powers and control. And this can be perceived on the larger whole as sadomasochistic or very predatory. Yeah. And this is one of the things I picked up. And not to forget that Mars, Venus, and Pluto is also in semi-square aspect to Sun, Moon, and Jupiter. And so the oppressive nature of the three planets in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn also rules what's happening in the world stage as well. And is semi-squaring Sun, Moon, Jupiter in Pisces. So I wonder if what's happening outside on the world stage is actually suppressing the optimism and sensitivity that might be more prevalent in the collective over this month. And not to mention that the linkage of Capricorn to Pisces also means that we are realizing that there is a method, Capricorn, to this madness, Pisces, that is unfolding right before our eyes over this new moon as well. Do you have anything to add?
Almost always to this, but considering everything that is going on, yeah.
So it's like a mixed bag, but
it's a very mixed bag, guys.
But if we actually use it properly, because when I rethink about Mars, Venus, Pluto, we can get a lot of projects off the ground.
One thing I think I need to address here, I think two things I want to even because it's obviously the general things that Donny mentioned, like the predator and the sexual stuff. I think that's going to be revealed, yes. But on a personal level, if we're talking about our sexuality in relationships, this is also going to be very, the baby making time is here in a way. This is going to be a bit of a sexual energy. Let's say formed
long
here
and
as well.
Slow Capricorn.
Yeah, it's like I think I wrote something about like planned sex nights or something because it's so orderly in Capricorn. But like the deeper level here, what Pluto hopefully will reveal in our personal relationship is like the deeper layers of sexuality we have inside of us as well. And to transform these, are we exhibiting healthy habits? Are we using our sexual energy in a healthy way? We need to see it really. I would say Pluto won't make it as comfortable as we would wish, but it will come to the light. Now the second part, because the Venus is also there, our worth really under the microscope. Like, what are we really worth? How much effort I'm putting in? Am I putting in too much? Maybe, Pluto will show you that into your face as well. And then I think Mars will help you take the necessary action of like, okay, so this is the place where I'm like not properly valuing myself, cutting off or making the necessary ambitious changes. And this is like the other part. Okay, maybe this is where I'm okay, and I'm following this direction clearly and clear cut in a Martian way. So I think these themes will also play out for you.
Just take note of any potential relationship power trips that may occur at this point because Pluto is there. Yeah. But otherwise, if you think about the overall picture, particularly that triple conjunction of Mars, Venus, and Pluto, very profound romantic and sexual healing as well, if you're looking at that. And if it's in Capricorn, it could be a potential trauma because there's Pluto involved that may be seeded way back when, Capricorn in the past, due to some form of abuse as well. And since all three planets in late Capricorn is in semi-square to Sun, Moon, Jupiter, I would go on to say that maybe like therapy clinics might be more crowded than usual. If people are seeking to heal in some way, shape, or form. Because March 2022 is that healing energy, which I see.
I think we definitely have those opportunities, guys, and it's like the belief is there, the energy is there. It's not going to be only comfortable. It's going to need, Mars and Pluto together. That digging deep and finding that strength to still do it, even if it's uncomfortable. But the healing possibilities are there.
Just don't get too jolly and get drunk, Pisces. Because that semi square to Mars, Venus, and Pluto, you may get more than you bargained for.
You might find yourself in like a dominatrix dungeon or something.
Oh
like
no,
that.
you may be wrongly accused of rape.
Oh my God, yeah, that's even. Oh yeah.
Because when I see the configuration, especially Sun, Moon, Jupiter, all semi-squaring the 3 planets in late Capricorn, you might get wrongly accused. So, packers in your pants. and just make sure that you're making very sober decisions and not let the the alcohol take over you and make poor decisions from that. to bring things back to a lighter mood, Yeah.
And if you find yourself in a dominatrix dungeon, just do your best to enjoy yourself and transform your sexuality or something. The possibility is there.
But if you think about it, the same 6 planets in semi-square, it can also be realizing another part of your sexuality that's left undiscovered till now.
Exactly. I think this is like the highest thing or highest possibility that can happen for us guys, and to even heal some trauma, like Donny said, or because I want to maybe mention because it hits both the masculine and feminine energy, but usually in my experience what I see is women usually hold more trauma in their sexual organs and bodies, and I feel for you guys, and
don't leave out the men too. Yeah,
I mean men too, definitely. No kind of like playing favorites, but this is because I've been in the world of tantra, and that energy kind of, in my experience, if I'm putting a percentage on it, so I'm saying more usually harder for women to transform, and I see opportunities definitely here, guys, for you as well, and the healing energy is here to release some sort of past traumas, even sexual traumas.
I think it's also like, just because men don't talk as much about it doesn't mean they're not victims as well. I just want to bring this to the forefront because totally. I do have some male clients who actually suffered some things that I don't want to elaborate here because it's their business, but I would say that it also boils back to toxic masculinity, that boys don't cry, boys should just suck it up and move on, whereas all those traumas never quite go away, does it? So I just want to like level out the playing field, to just kind of like, I do have clients that I've seen like how much pain that they're going through on a day-to-day level during like sessions. But having said that, I would say that this new moon is, although it's a mixed bag, but the potential is huge if you utilize it and manage to even incorporate the 6 planets in semi-square.
So guys, learn to use your sexual energy in the proper way and channel it in healthy ways to generate within your body, and to put it out into creation in healthy ways, and to share it in maybe sacred communion, but communion with others, or the chosen partner you have. That's what I have.
So do we want to move to the full moon?
Mm-hmm. We have a full moon. Oops. Put hours.
I think it's on the 18th. Yeah.
Yep. Put the hours on. And we are here, and 23. Okay, a little bit more.
So the full moon will actually happen later on in the month. Boop. It can be 17th or 18th, depending where you are, because for Estonia, it happens in the morning. Mm-hmm. In the Americas, it's still at night on the 17th. So depending where you are, 17th or 18th of March. But then it happens at 27 degrees of Virgo, where this full moon will happen. And as I mentioned earlier, I think last month, since we got back on air recording the monthlies, that from now all the way till that total lunar eclipse in middle of May of this year, all the full moons will be happening in the last few degrees of the sign. And so if you got planets that's in the last 5 degrees, for example, of a sign, every subsequent full moon will be expecting whatever planet or angle that is in those degrees. So that's on the bigger picture. And what do you have to say about this Virgo full moon?
Quite a lot.
Go on.
But so first and foremost, we got it in Earth sign, at least. So why do I say at least? Because full moons pull up a lot of emotion. Usually, the emotions are very much on the surface, and I think we've been having quite a few of those lately. And so I think it's a good break for us to have it in a more of a grounded, earthly, in the practical reality sign of Virgo, where we can, sometimes suppress our emotions and too much through the mind, but still, it's a little bit of a break, I would say, from a emotional, reactive place. And furthermore, we are having a bit of a almost like a grand trine in the Earth signs. We have the exact or almost exact Pluto trine to the Moon, and a sign based a wider trine from Uranus. So that already brings me a little bit of hope from an astrological perspective that this full moon, won't be as bad in very simple terms, and we have a lot to work with here, or a lot of support to actually work with here. And if we're talking about kind of like more specific manifestations, like I think practical solutions to emotional issues coming to the light here is something I wrote down. The thing here that I want to bring the negative side into it as well, so it's not all just like grand trine and everything is so super happy. But we have an opposition with the Neptune to the Moon as well, so it will kind of make our emotions a little bit confusing. Are we feeling this? Are we feeling that? It is, I think, a very, very good time to have these practical intuitions and deep insights into matters, be it earthly matters, be it our emotional matters. It depends a little bit where this full moon is happening in your natal chart as well, but in those areas we'll have this great opportunity to have these practical intuitive insights into practical earthly matters. This is what I wanted to start off with.
If I actually think about
this, go ahead.
If I actually want to talk about Virgo as a sign, it's actually part of the Virgo Pisces axis. So when I think about Virgo full moons, there's something about to be illuminated, and particularly under this full moon, it may actually make you question about the minutiae and the infinite in your life's direction. And that is almost like illuminated right in front of you. And when I think about Virgo Pisces axis, it's also the axis of imbalance. So under this influence of this full moon, something that's out of balance will be shown to you in an attempt for you to let go of existing patterns of operation, which is Virgo, in order to draw out the necessary boundaries for you to declutter. What do you stand for? What do you no longer stand for? And streamline those existing processes in your life as well. And if I were to talk about the sign of Virgo and also a full moon, it also may be a time of heightened accidents, heightened possibility of life-threatening illnesses. But it also presents a perfect time for you to have spiritual healing on many levels as well. Those themes may all be flagged up. And those can actually shake you out of a deadening routine and put your life into perspective. So you may be asking yourself questions such as, is my job, Virgo, missing something? Or can I achieve a great connection or purpose with this? It's almost like you will strive to kind of have a more soulful work approach and a deeper engagement with life as a whole. And these changes can either be subtle or in your face as well, in order to kind of emphasize the need to also tend to your soul's needs. Because we do have on the opposite side of the moon, Sun, Neptune, and Jupiter as well, or in Pisces. And if I were to look at where the Sun is, which is in late Pisces, Pisces, I can think about words like boundarylessness.
Oh, yes.
Illusion, confusion, delusion as well. And when I think about this full moon, actually there's a kite formation that is formed as well. Because on one hand, we've got the grand trine of North Node, Pluto, and the moon.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then the Sun is on top of the kite formation.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's kind of dissect that trine of the Sun with the South Node in Scorpio first. Because when I see the Sun trining South Node in Scorpio, this can really be talking about releasing a lot of toxicity, all feelings of bitterness, all feelings of, or all habits of control and compulsions as well. Yeah.
I want to say this because I think really ties into what you're saying. Because one of the things I see coming into this is also like the feeling or the emotions of victimhood, because Neptune is literally opposing the moon. It's happening from Pisces. So and you know, Virgo at some stages can get, if they pick up too much from others. I won't get into that right now. But it almost like the full moon is coming in, and then some situation can present itself to you when you're kind of like emotional, feel, oh, I'm a victim to this, to that. But luckily here for us, I think the support or even it can be victim to some sort of, you know, emotions triggered by some sort of practical earthly situation that make you feel inside like you're a victim to that situation. But luckily here in this case, I think we have enough support from the trines, the Pluto, and you know, Uranus a little bit well, to get us through it and to transform those victim kind of mentality, feelings, thoughts, ideas to more power, and see later on after the full moon how actually the situation can help us.
Well, you know what is really supportive as well over this full moon is that Mercury sextile Uranus, and Uranus at the same time is also squaring Mars and Venus as well. So when I think about all these configurations on top of the kite formation, this may be a very good full moon to break a habit that's destroying you from the inside out. This can be an addiction. So if you want to sign up with a 12-step program or check into the clinic to get yourself therapeutically analyzed and work through certain deeper set traumas, first of all, that Earth sign-based grand trine can really be helpful, particularly between Pluto, North Node, and the Moon. And then everything is arrowing towards that tip of the kite, which is Sun and Neptune as well. So if you have a very long-held addiction issue or destructive behavioral pattern in which you want to set yourself free, it may be a very good one, or should I say the perfect full moon lunation to enter that as well.
I very much agree. I want to add one thing that I figured out now for some reason. This is I don't know even know why I'm laughing, but like it can even be that you're coming into this with all of that Pisces energy and that what you're doing. Maybe it's an addiction. Maybe it's something you're doing in secret, private addiction, and that can even make it feel like you're the victim of something.
Yeah,
But now,
helpless.
like
Yeah.
helpless, and
Oh,
now, like Donny said, it's a time where you're like, oh my God, I'm tired of this. I need to take charge and take action to solve this issue, and I'm taking the practical steps, practical earthly action steps to get me out of this and get me through this
if you think about what Virgo
problem.
stands for, Virgo's desire is really about definition. What is? Define it. To clarify is also Virgo. So you may have like a deeper set picture of what's really going on. And Virgo is also about the urge to separate out the pieces. And this will actually serve as the antidote to Pisces' desire to merge it all together to see the more holistic Pisces picture. So this full moon can actually be very good for that. And Pisces is also about big dreams in which you have. And with that full moon, which is the moon in the opposite sign of Virgo, those Piscean dreams and big hopes and plans, you are more able to be more thorough and be more analytical, to break it down to smaller chunks in which you can digest, which is Virgo. So you can actually gain more clarity regarding the big dreams in which you have, at least for a while.
So dream big, guys, but practically.
Or with that moon in Virgo, yeah, and then like Pluto will actually flag it up to see what's happening, what is in reality, Capricorn, what is just fluff. And then that North Node in late degrees of Taurus, is it practical and useful? You will
Yeah,
examine,
can we use it in the practical realm, earthly realm?
and then is it like something of value? If not, then that trine from the North Node to Pluto may actually remove it. You may just have a whole list of your dreams and end up with like maybe one left on the list. It's like striking off Virgo, striking off, I don't need this, I don't need this, I don't need this, and start decluttering and cleaning out. It's almost like cleaning your house,
Exactly.
that kind of energy. So very much enjoying this full moon actually. Yeah.
Freaking, I'm really glad you said it, because this is like I really love Virgo new moons, full moons, especially this one, because in general, but this one has so much support from earthly practical houses and planets in those houses and signs. It's really freaking good during these full moons, new moons, Virgo, remember, to make those lists and to really, cut off whatever doesn't serve anymore and make it really earthly practical, and clean the house basically in every aspect of your life. It
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
only have to be to-do lists. It can literally be your home, but after it will feel so much better. I really love to do that with stuff,
Well,
things as well.
particularly with Venus and Mars squaring Uranus, yeah, you can basically cut away stuff that you don't need and keep what is of really true value to you, moving forward into the future, Aquarius.
Getting all excited about this full moon.
And Mercury is also sextiling at the same time to Uranus. So it's like, your mind will be, do I need to close the chapter with this thing I have here? It's
Pisces
also
as
that
well.
decluttering
Pisces.
thing as well. And you've got all the inner planets in supportive as well. Not actually supportive because Mars and Venus are squaring Uranus, but it helps you to cut away stuff. So if you are really trying to get through like even a toxic relationship that you want to get away from, this full moon can be the one that's the one that break the camel's back, but is in a good, positive result in the end for yourself, because you are tending to the soul's needs as well. Because I've actually seen people breaking up on Virgo full moons. More than usual among all the full moons. I'm kind of surprised, but when I think about it, it makes perfect sense, because you are doing what's practical, Virgo, earth sign, in order to let go, finally, which is the opposite sign of Pisces. You know what I mean? It's like ending that chapter in order to kind of clean yourself from the inside out. Yeah.
It can also be that some imbalances come out, you know, because of that Virgo, and you see those imbalances in those relationships, like who's doing what and who's doing more, and you know, maybe the one isn't prepared to balance it out, and then
because when I think about therapy, I think of Uranus as well. So that Uranus squaring Mars and Venus, it can literally be couples therapy if you need to. And
couples
with that
astrology,
yeah, or
like
that
synastry composite,
you know, and
both
with
are
that
there.
Mercury sextiling Uranus, you will gain that insight in which is previously hidden to you. Because maybe both parties are not talking enough up to this point, and this full moon boom hits, and it's like, okay, let's go to an impartial person, a stranger, Uranus. Uranus can rule stranger and also can rule therapist in order to sort things out. Why not have that talk therapy? And do you have anything more to add regarding this full moon?
I think I got most of what I wanted off my chest.
Okay, so do you want to just kind of like have a quick scan through of the month starting from the first?
Let's do that. Let's go back, guys.
So 1st of March, actually, I've got something that's important, although some of you may overlook it. This is more of something that I picked up as a very picky Virgo rising. So we've actually got transit North Node at 25 Taurus in a semi-sextile with Chiron at 10 Aries.
Well, so, that's a Virgo. I gotta say, that's a Virgo aspect. Like only a Virgo can,
yeah.
I think.
So North Node and Chiron are in semi-square. It's not. Well, most people would think semi-square, what's the big deal? But I look at semi-squares as well. But then when I look at North Node and Chiron, the beginning of the month, we may feel this compelling need to connect to positive energy and to our spirit guides, for the matter. And we may also feel an urgent need to clear past karmas and to resolve issues of the past so that we can move forward more. So there's already this kind of wanting to move forward. And hence, overall, I think March 2022 will be a month where we are preparing ourselves to move forward. And you may also come to a realization or a need, at least, to understand your attachments to the past and how these attachments are fear-based as well. And overall, I would think that as the month begins, we are finding ways to evolve. And this may come in the ways that we often do not expect to turn out. But then those processes in which we engage in that so-called unexpected, may push us forward with the growth of consciousness as the month move along in that way. So do you have anything to add, or shall we move on to the next?
This, I don't have anything to add.
Yeah, because the thing is, if I think about it, that that North Node at the same time is trining Mars and Venus at the same time when March actually starts off. So since we are in Pisces season, beginning like 1st of March, plus minus a few days actually, we may be more dreamy, we may be more euphoric in nature, and from this we can actually develop a love and appreciation of spiritual connectedness. We are in Pisces season anyway. Pisces is about oneness, and we are ready to embark on that process of evolution moving forward. And we are perhaps even more connected with spiritual forces as March moves along. Last but not least, since the North Node is semi-squaring Chiron and trining Mars and Venus, a potent spiritual healing effect, I would say, as the month starts, right off the bat. So I think that's what I needed to say regarding this one. That's right before the new moon, by the way, in Pisces. Although we've actually talked about that. And why not we jump to the 6th of...
I wanted to quickly mention one thing I think we forgot to mention on the 2nd, because actually we have maybe we mentioned, I can't even remember, we have a pretty interesting one, Sun from Pisces, sextile Uranus in Taurus. So I think I really like this. I really like this aspect for especially creative ideas, because we can swim with these creative ideas in both worlds, like the material, more practical creative ideas, and we can merge them in with the Piscean, very very otherworldly dimensional creative ideas. So this is a pretty darn nice aspect, I would say, for those things.
I always like a sextile between Pisces and Taurus, because that way you can ground it.
Exactly. You can do something with it.
Yeah, definitely. And you want to move on to the 6th of March? I'm really looking forward to this date. This is because Mars and Venus will be ingressing into Aquarius. And I've mentioned before in last month's video, I can't wait for 6th to 7th of March to occur, because Mars and Venus will get out of Capricorn finally. Because if we were to look at essential dignities, first it was Mercury, and then Mars and Venus, they're all placing Jupiter into fall by essential dignities. And once first
make it a little bit better. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. So first is Mercury that moved out of Capricorn, and then now it's Mars and Venus. So in other words, inner planets are not putting Jupiter in Pisces into fall position. So we may be attuning more with the optimism that Jupiter offers finally as a collective, at least in the way we relate to each other, which is Mars and Venus. So when I think about Venus in Aquarius, really is talking about enjoying unconventional and odd relationships, gives you more freedom in the process, and also you have a chance to express your individuality. And we may not be as physical. We may enjoy more talking than touching.
You know what I got? You know what I got when I was looking at this? I think if you brought that theme in, I can say it and you can continue. I was looking at this. I was like, so okay, these are good. These are together, like friends with benefits type of
friends
situation.
With benefits, yeah,
can happen here.
But on the overall, like just normal, like people on the whole, it may be more that they are floating more on the mental plane, because we're talking about air sign Aquarius, anyways.
Totally.
And last but not least, you enjoy being in a group of friends, and those can be friends with benefits,
Exactly.
And but Mars in Aquarius can actually be fighting for causes. There's a sense of unpredictability when Mars and Venus ingress into Aquarius. And I would even go on to say that there may be some emergence of leaders, like a group leader figure of sorts, that may be like striving towards some kind of humanitarian causes or social causes that may be brought up when this happens. Last but not least, since we're talking about Aquarius, it's about the rebellious energies. But you know what? We are able to get a lot of things done because Mars and Venus, when they're always together, I see this configuration as efficiency. Because your values, your value system, what you treasure, and your action and formulation of those plans are in line, which is Mars. So you can get a lot of things done. And Aquarius is a very fast sign as well. So you may get even a lot of things, boom, 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 out the door. But when these two planets are like still in the sign of Capricorn, in the same sign as Pluto, things can be a bit more dreary and just like it's a drag to move stuff along. And but having said that, the best effective solutions you will find that when Mars and Venus are in Aquarius is that you may want to adopt a wait and see observational attitude towards things. Because when I think about the sign of Aquarius, is the wait and see thing. But then there's good powers of observation. Adaptability is definitely there since you're talking about an air sign. And there's a wealth of plans. Or there's like sudden action at some divine orchestrated moment. We may become more open-minded, which is Aquarius, in the way we relate and be sociable with people. Last but not least, there's also like a readiness to help others as well. Yeah.
I'll add a couple of things, but I think Donny did a really good job of dissecting this. Also desiring, we want more freedom in our relationships in general. Like, I'm not talking swinging, guys, but for some of you, I mean, maybe there's a friend, wants to join in the party, or you want them to join in the party. I'm a little bit joking, but it's kind of like the energy's there a little bit. You're going to want to work towards and enjoy working towards your dreams, goals, long-term goals, projects. What is a little bit there is Mars in the Aquarius, so hopefully Venus will dial down the kind of Martian aggression. But inside the groups of friends, inside the online groups.
No, because Venus is a morning star, it's got that very masculine-ish kind of.
I'm just hoping. I really wanted to do so, because otherwise, guys, we'll be just fighting online. You go on the Facebook group,
Tinder,
and people, or I don't know what's there, like Grindr or Bumble or what. There's so many, but like, if you go into those online groups, there will be people that's like fighting for causes, like Donny said, but also because the causes are not going to align all the time. People just fighting in online groups, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. And there's going to be more things said, more things, more aggression. So please be aware of that as well. And what did I want to say? Even competition between friends, group friends, can be there. And also friends, I wanted to say, friends can actually increase, they can give us the boost, give us the ambition that we need to go towards the goals and the projects we want to do, but maybe we're kind of like a little bit hesitant to go towards. You want to say something?
Because Mars and Venus came from that conjunction with Pluto in Capricorn, there may be some kind of shady Pluto governmental plans that on the outside it may seemingly be beneficial to humanity, that on this day it may be announced on the airwaves, which is Aquarius. So there may be some kind of, having those kind of energies coming forth, at least on a mundane level. So look out for 6th of March of 2022 for some announcement of some kind of seemingly too good to be true plans that kind of, oh, we will help you, blah, 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 but it's all BS. Yeah. Yeah.
I think we got it. I think
But as I mentioned earlier, Mars and Venus in Aquarius, just adopt a wait and see attitude. Use your powers of observation and sniff out the authenticity, which is also Aquarius, from the fakeness. Yeah. Do you want to shift to the 9th of March?
Oops, hours.
Because this is when maybe one more day on the 10th, then be a bit more generous. So Mercury will go into Pisces.
That's how I feel about it.
Don't be shady to those with Mercury in Pisces. Yeah.
I mean, one of my good friends has Mercury in Pisces, and they're very much aware that they can be, a little bit floating in the clouds
wishy-washy
at time. I don't want to say. Yeah, Mercury in Pisces. It's also first quarter moon. I had in my notes March 10th. So whenever it's first quarter moon, everybody's so busy with everything. So especially when Mercury goes into Pisces, so all of that left brain kind of administrative, talking, speaking, communicating, writing, speaking online, these types of tasks. So
you mean people can be very dreamy and scattered-brained?
Exactly. There's going to be missed appointments, misspelled words. But let's not go maybe too much into the negative. Guys, we need to pay attention. Basically, we need to pay more attention to the details. We need to pay attention if we send an email, if we put the date on something, if we schedule an appointment. This is during Mercury in Pisces season. This is like...
Well, but you know what?
Yeah.
Maybe before Mercury goes into Pisces, have all your Google calendars packed up with what you need to do while Mercury is in Pisces. So at least you've got your notifications,
If you can do that, of course, do it before Mercury goes into Pisces. But, a lot of people work these jobs, in offices, and just like, it can be a little bit... too much to handle, or again, like Tony said, scatterbrain. But it's the good side of this is the creative side of the right brain side comes out to play as well. So yes, we can be dreamy and be in those other realities or realms, but this is good for a lot of people. Sometimes for astrologers, sometimes for song lyric writers, for creative people,
Basically, highly intuitive period while Mercury is in Pisces, good imagination. So if you are looking to visualize stuff, perfect, do it while Mercury is in Pisces. And also have the ability for those for some to tune into other people's thoughts as well. It can be some form of telepathy. You can just read other people on a more like subdued or subtle body language from that way as well.
This is I think really good, because that friend that I have with this position, they're like have this thing where they like just from out of the blue some idea comes into their brain and they're like, oh my god, this is happening to this person, and they take their phone and send a message, oh, are you okay, what's happening to you? This is one of the things that can really manifest during Mercury in Pisces season, like oh I should, okay, and do it, ask. There's nothing wrong with asking, is everything okay, and is this happening to you, or whatever. So guys, you can use
just make sure that you don't disappear into dreams before being jolted back into reality. I think that's my last statement. And something that's actually happening on 10th of March as well, I just want to bring this in because some people may want to look at the asteroids. And the asteroid, which is Vesta, will be entering into Aquarius also on 10th, 11th of March. And Vesta is basically an asteroid of what we are vested in or have investments in. Okay, that's in short what it can mean. And in Aquarius, Vesta is what we work best in. So we may work best in a very Aquarian atmosphere of freedom and have a tendency to escape from routine because Aquarius just want to break free. And don't want anything that's too structured. It wants things abstract and flexible. And we may have more commitment from 10th to 11th of March onwards. You may see that as a whole, collectively, to humanitarian or political causes, which do not offend our sense of individuality. And we may get more vested interest or invest our interest into people who are humanitarians, people who are very helpful towards us, freedom-loving, embodying the archetype of that, or we may have more interest into freedom rights fighters as well. This is what I want to add in short.
I wanted to add one piece about that Mercury and Pisces that I really had written down because Mercury is a lot to do with, guys, what we think about. And the Pisces, let's say the negative side. We talked about the positive side of the, spirituality.
Well, I've got negative sides as well to talk about. What we think, what we come out from our mouths is totally different. Yeah.
So it can be, like Donny said, the words have to be really, almost thought about more precisely.
You have to think before you speak, really. Yeah.
Because you can be literally, bullshitting a person when you don't. The intention maybe isn't even there to bullshit them, but the words can come vaguely. Mercury
is also text messages and phone calls, so beware of scammers.
Yeah, good point.
Impersonators as well. Yeah.
And the thing about the thoughts I had is if you find yourself literally thinking about kind of escaping or addictions or drugs, alcohol too much. This is like the downside of Pisces Mercury combo because the thoughts will go to the Pisces energy. So do your best to take yourself off from that and focus on the creative things, focus on the spiritual things, focus on those things that are more healthier for you.
You want to move on to the 13th of March because it's quite. So 13th of March we do have Sun and Neptune together in late degrees of Pisces. And when I think about the moon, right, it's usually talking about some kind of world leader or someone prominent. In the sign of Pisces, this can be someone in the medical field. And when I see Sun and Neptune together, it can be someone belonging to those spheres in which I just mentioned, getting some kind of award for the job well done. And since Neptune is involved as well, this can be done through some kind of overblown rose-colored glasses way of seeing things. And others may actually find him or her, depending whether who gets it, not deserving of the recognition at all, because it can be that too much credit is given out to that person, or that he or she is being thought of as too highly, or being placed on a pedestal, Sun Neptune, or he or she may not need that kind of recognition as well. So others may actually be looking in and think that this is all a charade or a sham altogether. But on a more personal level, Sun Neptune, just beware of paranoia and also psychedelic trip outs as well.
Don't be lazy, guys, I would say. Well, but okay,
it's
just
actually,
joking.
It's actually the perfect day to play like your Xbox or something just to chill out, Yeah.
I would prefer, obviously, you can do whatever, you can play the whatever computer games and stuff. The energy is there. You won't feel like doing much in that sense, obviously, but again, in my mind, what this is perfect for it is like spiritual matters, spiritual pursuits, creative things, even painting, I would say, giving or getting information from other realms, really good to do those, and be behind the scenes and create something, be behind the scenes and make something creative happen. Instead, because the energy will be a little bit lower, the physical energy will be lower, depending if you have something helping you in your natal chart. Obviously you will feel a little bit better or more energy, but this will make you feel like, I want to just be behind the scenes and chill out. But if you just chill out, it's easier to go into addictions, totally. But if you go to maybe a spa, again, a healthier choice most often.
Because Sun and Neptune are tied up with Venus via a semi-square, I've actually seen this configuration, Sun, Venus, and Neptune, is very good for art therapy. You may not be able to say out in words, particularly when Mercury is in Pisces, but you can draw it out as therapy.
Again, a healthier choice, guys. A much healthier choice.
Yeah. And stuff like, or hang out with friends at a swimming pool. It may be that socialize when there's bodies of water. Yeah, it can be that as well. How about the 19th of March? Because this one will be active for like 5 days, from 19th to 23rd of March. And this is where Venus, then Mars, will be squaring Uranus, respectively. So what do you have to say regarding this Venus, then Mars squaring Uranus?
I'll just do a shameless promotion. I just did a video on this type of an aspect.
Right.
About difficult aspects in astrology. Go check that out, guys. But anyway, okay. Venus square Uranus. So it can mean, from a, let's say, positive point of view, that you literally fall in love immediately with somebody and you're blinded by them. It seems so amazing. And it's kind of like, maybe an hour later, it's like, what the hell I was thinking. But it can literally make you fall in love too quick with somebody. If you're in a relationship, in a partnership, it can bring some, sudden events in those relationships, partnerships. And especially we're talking right now when we're talking about such, material, practical signs as well. Friends definitely affected, finances definitely affected. Maybe you need to do a quick expense as well. From a financial matter, you need to
maybe
spend
your
on
investments
something.
need more research, because there's a chance you may just spend it on some investment that may lose money in the end because of the impulse.
You can make it. You can make the decision very, very quickly. The impulse is so big. The Uranian square wants you to do it quick, and you're like, let's do it quick. But take your time, guys. And then again, either you're like, seeing somebody. God, I can't even get it out. It's just like.
Go on.
God.
Go on.
Take your time in romantic relationships with this aspect. Although an opportunity can be presented out of the blue for you to go on a date, it can happen as well. So it's not all super bad with this aspect. So keep that in mind. Go ahead.
I would say that it's more of a sudden and abrupt expression of passion, and this may cause the other person to feel kind of intimidated or even like back off and withdraw because whoa, too much. Kind of thing. But then it can be being open-minded to someone that it may not be your type before.
Yeah.
But then you just want to, let's just give it a shot. It can be that as well. And on top of that, there can be an irresistible force of desire. So in case you're at a bar, because we've got 4 planets in Pisces, just beware of plausible encounters that might result in a sexual assault, particularly when Mars and Venus are also squaring Uranus, because this can also mean deviant sexual behaviors and attitudes as well, if I were to be honest.
Sexual experimentation.
But then if it's not harnessed properly, it can be like deviance. But on top of that, I've also acknowledged this square because Mars will be the next planet to square Uranus. This can be really like a suitable time for some sort of cosmetic procedure or operation as well, even though it's a square. Yeah, because Venus first, right? So it's something cosmetic, something to make you pleasant, and then like Venus is to cut you open. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say I would maybe.
I know it's probably like a sextile or a trine is better. You know what I mean? But a square actually works in some cases as well.
It does.
Yeah.
You might be just getting a too quirky of a haircut or too quirky of a clothing or whatever it is.
Or that person just don't have the right scissors, which is Mars. And you end up with a mullet. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
You ask for haircut A and you got haircut B. Just, yeah. It can
or
also
Y.
Well, or Y or Z. So, so this influence will be from March 19th to 23rd as a whole, because after Venus is Mars, that's square. Do you want to move 1 day forward or 2 days forward? So we've got Sun in Aries at 0 degrees.
Finally, guys, finally. I just want to applause the fire signs, which is a lot for me. I have so much fire. I've been just freaking, come on, fire, come on. Yeah.
So do you have anything to say with Mars at 0 degrees of Aries?
Well, I'm getting excited even looking at it. So it does bring, guys, for a lot of energy, first and foremost for us, especially, Sun in Pisces. We're getting, Sun in, basically starting from Capricorn, where Sun has been butchered. Now, Sun, my planet, one of my main planets, I'm getting excited looking at it, dude. We're getting more energy, we're getting more life force. We want to do more things. We want to take more action. We have more courage. We have more bravery. We have more initiative in our presence, in our energy. We want to, we just want to take life by the horns. There's no, of course, there's other things going on, but God, I'm excited.
Well, I just want to mention here that when Sun actually ingresses into 0 degrees of Aries, it's actually the start of the new year for the Earth. Because when Sun actually ingresses into 0 Aries, it actually crosses the equator, heading into the northern hemisphere. So it's akin to the birth of a new day, but in this context, it's the Earth that's having a new birthday, so to speak. And the Sun ingress into Aries is also the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, and it's often referred as the vernal equinox. And usually, if I'm talking about mundane astrology, we will actually cast a chart when the Sun actually ingresses into 0 Aries as well. And this will kind of show the global energy for the upcoming 12 months. And depending on the locality, because the planets don't move, so you're only fixing the locality pertaining to where you are. For example, I'm in Singapore, so I'm freezing the Sun at 0 degrees Aries, but set the location for Singapore, and then I see the angles, the rulerships, etc., to see how the new year energetically, how it will benefit Singapore or how it will hurt Singapore in a kind of way. So that's so it's more like a global picture chart as an Aries ingress. So you will freeze frame that chart for that. So do you have anything more to add pertaining to that?
God. I don't know, did I mention vitality? I guess I did.
Because Sun is actually exalted in Aries. So it's almost like we feel the energy of that gunk that we've been feeling. And so like when 21st of March swings around, you may feel like there's this like new, fresh energy that kind of comes in. It's almost like, oh, okay. You know?
Yeah, guys, if you, like, especially if you have a lot of fire, you'll feel a lot more better, you know, because the only fire we've been almost getting is the moon, you know, a couple of days here and there, and now we finally get the sun, and it's a relief definitely for those of you who want, you know, things to move quicker, move faster, and take more action. It will start to happen, even when, yeah.
I think we'll fully feel like that or get out of that rut when we approach Taurus season. Why do I say that? Is because if you see the wheel, all of the planets minus the moon are all compressed together in those few signs. And then when we hit like Taurus onwards, that's when the sun, all the inner planets, including like, when I say inner planets means Mercury, Venus, and Mars, they will like one by one get out of that bounded configuration. I call this a bundle because everything's squished together.
Yeah.
And there's more variety of energies to experience, I would say. Once we hit Taurus season, the middle of Taurus season, when the sun passes Uranus and then one by one all the planets all like follow suit. We may be, there's more facets of life that we can experience, in other words. Yeah. Do you want to move towards 27th of March?
Oh yeah. Oops.
So that's when Mercury enters Aries as well.
Did we skipped Mars and Uranus square? Do we want to maybe a few words?
That one is covered with Venus, because that Venus then Mars squaring Uranus
They're so close.
Will be happening around 19 to 23rd of March. Yeah. And then right now we have Mercury in Aries.
I mean, I just want to maybe I didn't say it. It's just like like more reactions, definitely.
Oh yeah, and more accidents.
More accidents. Just and whenever I see Mars and Uranus in a hard aspect, it's like, and especially Uranus right now, it's like something with nature, like forest fires, or you know, even what's the word I'm saying? Even volcanoes erupting.
Oh yeah.
I've been observing with these. So, yeah, I mean, don't want to go too.
Although I must say that it's also a very sexy time, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, just let those volcanoes erupt and go and have a sex session.
Well, but the thing is that 19 to 23rd of March will be, I think towards 23rd of March will be when Mars will be in exact square with Uranus. So the last 10 days of March, we may see actually more geoseismic activity.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Yeah.
And not to mention that, you know, there's more chance of you encountering like serial seed spreaders as well, if you know what that is.
Serial, I don't know what that means.
Serial seed spreaders, people who can't wait to procreate.
Jeez, this world is wild, man.
No, because the thing is, if I think about Mars is actually the sperm, but Venus actually rules the semen, the liquid in which the sperm actually is suspended in. And when it's squaring Uranus,
everywhere.
Dams bursting, you know, birds chirping, yeah, whatever that means, yeah. Yeah. So that's
like kind of like some cyber attacks here as well. I think some like annoyance online or some sort of thing that happens online.
Like some
that's
scam
not-
taking place?
I think scam is a good one, but I think even maybe an attack because it's Mars squaring Uranus. I think that's one of the when is it? 19th? Yeah,
Cyber attack, right? Aquarius and then Uranus also involved.
Uranus. Yeah.
Mars can be something deviant. It could potentially be, and Uranus is like systems and data storage units.
Exactly. So change your passwords, guys.
It can be that. But what do you have to say for Mercury in Aries?
Well, for me, again, more fire, so I'm mostly enjoying it. But like from a Mercury in Aries, the mind gets so quick and fast, and the ideas move so fast and quickly for us. I think it's a nice change from the Pisces, but there are still things we need to be careful of because the word and the tongue gets very fast and quick, and we even when
Very
people
sharp
are
as well.
very sharp, and people are like talking, and we want to interrupt them, and it's like talk faster, talk quicker, and everybody's like, I want to say something, I want to put in my whatever the 2 cents is, and there's so much of that happening as well. But I do like it for commerce and sales, and because it's things move quicker, faster, and people are actually more direct as well. So if there's no kind of like Piscean, I don't know, maybe Friday or maybe this next month, there's nothing like that. There's like let's do it Friday, okay, done, deal, let's move onwards. It's a more of a direct energy, which I personally, with my Aries planets, enjoy more.
I would say that collectively, the mind will be tuned into more independent thinking, and thoughts and speech may actually speed up quite a bit. And if I were to think about how many days that Mercury will be spending in Pisces, is only about less than 3 weeks. So about 18 to 19 days, actually, less than 3 weeks in Pisces. And when we approach 27th of March, boom, our minds may be kind of till before the 27th, we'll still be envisioning. And then when Mercury hits Aries, the idea will be like, okay, I need to take action now. So they'll be like towards the end of March. And even flashes of intuition, I see that with Mercury in Aries placements. It comes in that fast.
Very quick.
And not to mention that you've got Sun and Mercury over here ruled by Mars in a sign of another quick sign, which is Aquarius.
And be careful driving, guys, as well.
Both are super fast, even lightning fast, I would say, if I were to think about Aries and Aquarius combinations. And so it's even like, just make sure that you don't accelerate too fast.
I think you will see a lot of people just speeding by you.
Oh yeah.
Like,
or if not just like,
crazy.
like screw the red light, you know what I mean? Yeah. It can be that as well.
And then you're like, oh my God, F them, I'm going to speed by them. It's like full throttle ahead. So guys, be careful.
And also, since Aries is one of the signs of war, so on the news, which is Mercury, there may be more focus on news that are warmongering in nature, or actually wars breaking out that's reported by journalists, which is Mercury as well. So just to look out for that. And do you want to move on to the next day? I think that's the last one we are covering. I love this one because it's Neptune and North Node are in sextile aspect, or very close to.
What about this one? I think we need to discuss as well.
You know what? That can be it, but I would just say for Venus and Saturn, Venus is sweet, Saturn is bitter. So it's a bittersweet kind
that's
of
a good
energy.
way.
And maybe for some, it's really about saying goodbye to someone that you used to know. Because like a goodbye kind of energy. Yeah.
I would say it does bring some sort of heaviness into our relationship, definitely. But it is a practical kind of heaviness. It's a mature heaviness here as well. So it's a I would
I
say
would say
evaluating.
I'm very
Go ahead.
curious about that day, the number of divorce cases, because we've got Juno joining
Yeah.
at 21 as well. So Juno is really like long-term partnership, and you suddenly wake up with Venus and Saturn there.
It
Oh,
it
and
is a
like you just wake up from the bed, it's like I don't love you anymore after that many years. You know?
it is a very testing time
Yeah.
for relationship. But like I'm of understanding that this only doesn't mean that we're going to break up and everybody needs to get a divorce. Obviously,
Oh,
unfortunately, the energy is there for that to happen as well. But like the place I'm going to is okay. So what's not working between us, and how can we literally, practically, materially freaking fix it, so that we can move towards together in union into a better, more solid future. This is how
because
I watch it
Aquarius
or
is the
look at it.
sign of divorce and separations. And when I think about it, after Venus has done its, it has moved over Juno, which is the planet of commitment and devotion, and also long-term mating, and also over Saturn. The next two planets will be the Moon and Mars. So there may be this like increased agitation, emotional agitation, Moon and Mars,
Definitely,
in order to take
definitely.
some actions, and some may go down the route of separations or divorce, which is Aquarius, but some will be like, oh, let's kind of rearrange or revamp our life structures, which is Saturn. Maybe we need to set time aside, be committed to that ritual to kiss each other on the forehead each morning. It could be that, you know what I mean? To kind of show like that love, like to kind of renew something, because it can have a renewing kind of um energy to it. It's not all like Splitsville.
That's what I really love, and how can we use astrology in practical realms is not, the easiest solution always is to split up in our minds and in our kind of like ego places. But like if you really sit down practically and get through the emotional reactions of this Moon Mars, the Mercury in Aries is already pretty reactive with our thoughts anyway. But if we get through those reactions and sit down with your spouses here and partners, or your business partners, can be, and devise a plan, and what are
Mm-hmm.
we going to do, and do we want to work on this? Because if both parties want to work on it, there's a chance. If one party wants to work on it, the other one is like, there's still a chance. But if both parties don't want to work on it, yeah, that's already
But you know what?
not
This
really.
this can also be that when I see Venus, then Moon, then Mars passing over Juno and Saturn, whatever that was unsaid earlier now gets all flagged up. So you are forced to kind of make that sobering conversation with another to kind of trash out certain things as well. But in the sign of Aquarius, there may be some overreacting involved as well. Yeah, like certain people may
especially
take
with
offense, like
especially with the Moon and the Mars together as well.
yeah, when Moon and Mars are the following planets that cross over that Juno and Saturn, yeah, it can be a bit feisty.
So guys, look past the feistiness and get into the nitty gritty, practical, and make better decisions together.
Yeah. So the last one that I want to talk about is that Neptune sextiling North Node, actually, because that one can be collectively very imaginative. And
Absolutely.
perhaps we are encouraged to be more sensitive and intuitive as well. Visionary also, visionary new ways in terms of doing things. And we may prosper more as a collective in activities that's linked to Neptune. This can be like an attraction to film, cinema, the arts, photography, portrait painting, decorating, or even dance. So like, I'm not surprised that, more people would be at the club. I mean, as long as the club allows it. And occult work is also Neptune related. So occult work over those few days towards the end of March, you may be more intrigued by it. And just beware of larger than life goals. But on a healthier level, those can be goals that can also mean it's noble and spiritual at the same time. One pitfall, I would say, or another pitfall here would be like, don't get too wrapped up or swept up in transcending. I'm talking about narcotics. Because Neptune can rule that. And there may be also like increased sensitivity to, honestly, any forms of drugs, really. Those can be also like an allergic reaction to pharmaceutical pills in which you may be taking for the first time. So you may want to take note of that. But overall, there's enhanced trusting nature when Neptune is sextiling the North Node. Yeah, I would say that. And if you want to join that channeling class, that psychic intuitive development class, yeah, I would say go for it over those few days in late March as well.
I'm already a member. I'm going to be watching if things pick up. I think they will pick up, like, deeply.
Towards late March.
But anyway, don't do drugs, guys, and stay sober.
I mean, throughout the whole of March, when a lot of planets are still in Pisces, you know, you can be too easily carried away or swept. Swept away, actually, as a collective, since the nodes are involved, towards things that potentially that is because Neptune can also be something that destroys you, but you're not aware of it. So this month is really to analyze our destructive habits as a collective and see what we need to let go of. But it's a very good month as well for connecting with deeper forces at work that may not be visible, invisible realm, Pisces, or you're seeking that inner spiritual guidance.
Guys, I would say definitely if you go to those other realms, your own inner guidance, your own inner strength needs to be really strong. It needs to be firm. You need to understand yourself on a very deep level. You need to be like very secure in who you are. This means emotions, feelings, thoughts, ideas, process, that all things that go through our psyches, our consciousness, our energy. When there's so much spiritual energy, you know, it's not all like you know, it's still you know, there are entities, there are things there that are maybe don't have the best of our interest there.
Oh yeah.
And especially in Pisces times, it's, you know, it's easy to disillusion or illusion ourselves into a place of, I should be, you know, doing this because, you know, enter some spiritual bypass, enter some spiritual kind of reasoning that makes that addiction good, or that makes that addiction, you know, okay to do. But, you know, just be really, really careful with these matters. And the more stronger your routines, the more stronger you are as a human being, the more easier it is to enter these realms and be in these areas as well.
So on one hand, I would say that one of the major pluses is that these few days, towards the end of March, it can be very favorable if you're looking for insights and also inner spiritual guidance. But just beware that there's a tendency with that sextile from Neptune to the North Node to get swept up or wrapped in. When I think about social, I think about the North Node in particular. If I think about a fad, which is FAD, I'm talking about Neptune. So don't get too swept up or wrapped into some kind of social fad, and go with the flow in unhealthy contexts. I think that's how I would sweetly sum it up. So do you have anything more to say with regarding to March?
Hi, guys. Do I have? Quite possibly.
Yeah.
There's so much to say, but I think I summed it up with the last kind of thing. It's easier to get lost in those realities and other realms, and it's easier to get. For me, it's also, I want to say something about astrology. Actually, it's easier to get lost in astrology as well. In some ways, you see an aspect, you hear us talk about it, you hear da 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 da. But if you find, there's so much going on in the world right now. So there's so many, hard things, bad things happening, literally, bad things, hard things happening. But if you find these ways inside of yourselves to, understand these energies better, deeper, find ways to integrate these activities the way you are as a human being into the everyday life, everyday mundane life, you don't have to constantly stay every day worried about, the war, basically what I'm saying. And there are ways to work around these matters and things, and to focus on yourself, keep building yourself up, keep building yourself stronger, more intuitive, more spiritual, more practical, all of these areas, financial, business, everything, all of these areas need your attention, and focus on those as well. Just not only looking at this aspect will make me, feel bad. Learn how to use these energies in a good way, productive way that benefit you, your family, your children, your pets, everybody around you.
I think it's really a lifetime of learning and mastership, right? We're talking about it.
Totally.
But I would say that to end on a note, I think that 2022 as a whole, people can watch my 2022 video with Lada, in which I'm still surprised that it's got that many views.
Hashtag winning.
Well, I mean, the thing is that altogether, I do only see things bottoming out in Q3 of 2023, which coincides very well with that Venus retrograde in Leo. And so you've got something to look forward to. This too shall pass. When I learn astrology, this is one of the phrases that really is ingrained in me. And so from now to then, it's really reorienting your path so that by the time we bottom out of this whole phase as a collective, we will be on a personal, individual level. We will be more in tune to take the next step forward for ourselves. Now you're just kind of in the midst of, I would say 2022 is about all of us pivoting, because that square of Saturn Uranus is still active in the sky. I think in Q3 of 2022, it was still, that square will be less than 1 degree apart, and then it will just separate for good. And so last year and this year, it's all about pivoting. So where do you need to pivot to? What is working, what is not working? And what is not working, you just have to do something different altogether, and not be just kind of hang on, fixed signs, both are in fixed signs, Saturn, Uranus, and just hang on to kind of flogging a dead horse, I would say. Yeah.
Guys, hope this helps.
Yeah, like a lot of things we actually did we actually wanted to do like a longer video to get you guys kind of reoriented, because next month it will be a tsunami, literally. When that Jupiter and Neptune conjunct, it will be a tsunami in many ways, on many levels.
And we'll cover it in our next monthly video as well.
Yeah, it'll be packed or jacked.
And if you want to work with us, the links will be in the description box. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will continue to bring you all that goodness.
All right.
Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrology are out for now.
Oh yeah. So I'm Donny here as usual. So you know where to find us, guys. So
I even forgot to mention beginning. I need to mention it. Gliam. This is the astrology duo. Gliam. We have our separate things, but this is when we come together. It's still Gliam. Liam is out for now. And guys, see you again soon in the next month.
Ciao.